Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending today. This is our Thursday call, and welcome to the Wealthy Roofing Community. This community is both for roofing contractors and bookkeepers that specialize in doing bookkeeping or accounting for roofing contractors. So roofers, if you're looking for a bookkeeper, we have a certified roofing bookkeeper program. So the bookkeepers in our forum here have went through that course. So it helps you and it helps them. It's a win-win. If you hire one of them to do your bookkeeping, then we've already pre-trained them in the roofing industry. And that is one big hurdle that you guys have, is having bookkeepers, but they don't particularly know that much about the roofing industry and how you would run a roofing company. Ask any questions you have, whether it's about roofing. It can be about your roofing CRMs. I work in a lot of roofing CRMs, and then anything to do with QuickBooks Online as well. My name is Helen. So I've been in the roofing industry for over 25 years, and I exclusively do bookkeeping for roofing contractors using all my experience of owning my own roofing company. And I put those principles and practices into your roofing company. If you are a roofer and you need help with bookkeeping, then please feel free to reach out with a message. Today, what I have prepared for you, I'm going to share the screen. And if you go to roofforprofits.com, you'll see a QuickBooks setup checklist. And this is what you need to have your QuickBooks Online set up as a roofing company. And this is extremely important, because this is you go and you tear the shingles off of a roof, and then you put the felt down and it's all wrinkled, and you're going to come out with a terrible looking roof, and shingles are going to be popping up all over the place. So the foundation work in QuickBooks Online to see in a profit and loss as the owner of a roofing company, what your profits are, gross profit, net profit, all of those. And I break down all of those things for you so you can completely understand, so you can increase your prices, so you can control how much you're paying subcontractors, that you can control everything that's going on in your business, advertising, all of those things. Having someone to help you with this is incredibly important to you, because you're going to get your profits up. I'm always aiming at the roofing companies that I work with. We want 50% gross profit. I know at the end of the day, unless you did something extravagant with advertising, that we are going to have a good net profit between 10 and 40%. So those are the numbers that we really work with. Today, I'm going to share with you in QuickBooks Online and the checklist, the free checklist at roofforprofits.com, that you can pick up if you don't have one today. This is our free QuickBooks setup checklist for roofing contractors. Set it up for a 6-figure, 7, 8-figure roofing company. Maximize your profits. The QuickBooks foundations are: sign up for your QuickBooks Online. You want the Online Plus, not Simple Start or Essential. For job costing, we need QuickBooks Online, whether you're using a CRM or whether you aren't using a CRM. We still need the Plus version for the reports and classification. And bookkeeping is a little bit different than basic bookkeeping, because we have a certain way that we do it in construction, whether it's roofing, painting, whatever the course is with that. Then I do have a link here if you do need to get it. It is an affiliate link. So if you use my link, I do get a very small commission from QuickBooks off of that. If you do need it, I do appreciate you using my link. The first thing is you want to set up your business as your QuickBooks as a contractor or roofing contractor. I have a sample company that QuickBooks gives us. It is a landscaping company. You first get into QuickBooks, this is what it's going to look like. This is your different bank accounts, saving, MasterCard, credit card. We want to go to our right gear icon. We call this little hamburger thing gear icon, and we use that quite a bit. We want to go over here. You have your company things you can get to, functions. You have your list, your tools, your profile. I'm going to go through the accounting and settings with you, and your chart of accounts. These are chart of accounts and account settings are the main things we're going to do today. When you land on this page, you're going to see the company. And so you would just click this little icon here. You can upload whatever logo that you have. If you have a logo, then you can upload it and add it here. And it will show up on your invoices and on your estimates. So that's pretty great. Your company name, your legal name. If it is something different, then you would uncheck that. You do want to have your EIN, your federal identification number that you have gotten from IRS when you applied for your EIN number. Or you can use your social security number. The next thing we go to is your company type. Then your industry, construction. So we'll just put here roofing. Put roofing contractors. You could pick any of those things. Then your contact info, company email, that if someone has a question, when you send out an invoice or an estimate, that they could click reply back with a question. Put your company phone number, you can put your company website, your company address, put in all your company address. If you are going to accept credit cards or you're going to set up payroll through QuickBooks Online, you want to have this information in to verify all of that information with your bank account. It goes smoothly and you instantly get your approval and verification. Your address, what's your customer's facing address, what you want your customer to see. Now, you may only want your customer to see just San Pablo, California. So you could just put in the address there, but you can or you don't have to have that. And then your legal address, this you want to have in, especially if you're doing payroll, because when we send in all your federal taxes and pay your taxes, it has to match up with IRS. So I think that's really important, okay? Marketing preferences, that doesn't make any difference there. And then you would just click done on that. Your usage here, billable users, how many people that you have that is in QuickBooks Online. You can only have 2 accountants or tax preparers in QuickBooks Online, up to 25 billable users. So you can have 25 people that can get into QuickBooks Online. Let's go to our sales. And here in sales, what we want to do for roofing, and this is the setup only for roofing contractors. It can be used for painting or electrical or siding or solar or any of those things. Click your edit button here. Preferred invoice terms. I always keep this on due upon receipt. That one you can leave off. You can unclick shipping. We don't have that. And we want QuickBooks to give our invoice numbers. We do want it to show a service date. I mark discounts off because we apply those in a different way actually on the invoice, so we don't need that. And we're not using the deposit feature here. There's another workflow that we use for that. There's no tips, so we don't need to turn those on. You can keep your tags on. And then you would just click save. And then in your products and services, and this is a QuickBooks sample company that QuickBooks gives us. So if you're a bookkeeper listening today, that you would get this free account so you can come in here and play around with all and practice this in QuickBooks so you become proficient at it too. So you can do these different things that I'm doing today. When it comes to products and services, yes, we want it to show products and services. We don't need the SKU, don't need price rules. We do want track quantity, but we don't need inventory. Most of us are not using inventory, so you could save that. Late fees, we have that marked off. Generally, if I'm applying late fees, I will add it to the invoice, okay? And then progressive invoicing, I would be turning that on. I won't turn it on this test company as to anybody else. Once that's turned off on, you can undo it. But this will give you projects and job costing. Say you don't have a CRM, so this can be helpful to you, and paying contractors. Okay, and then your messages here, you could open that button. You can put whatever you want, your message to the customer when you send an invoice, your message to the customer when you send an estimate here. So you can put in whatever information you want there. Reminders, I just keep reminders off. This has caused people a lot of problems with reminders, so I would leave that off. You don't need to do anything with online delivery or statements, okay? Now, when we go to our expenses, what we want here, if you open this up, show items table on expense and purchase forms. You can keep that on. Show tag fields, you can keep that on. And you do want to track expenses and items by customer, but we do not want to make it billable. So be sure and turn this off. This is really important. It will cost you money trying to get this cleaned up. Do not turn that on. And then you wouldn't do any of that. And then you may charge sales tax for your state, depending on your state. I'm in Texas, so we don't have sales tax, okay? But that's how you would fill that out. Your purchase order forms, you definitely want your purchase order forms on, and you can even put a default message here. To the contractors, upon receiving this, provide me the date that you can do this roof, okay? So we'll cancel that. And this is time. We don't really do too much with this time here. If you do want to use that, then you're more than willing to able to use that. And then the most important part here is going to be our advanced. So the first month of the fiscal year, say January, same as income tax, the same accounting method. You may be using accrual if you have a lot of accounts receivable and accounts payable. If not, you will use cash. And close the books. No, just leave it just like that for that one, okay? And then here, when we get to the chart of accounts, we want to enable the account numbers. We want to see the account numbers. We want to show the account numbers as well. And then you wouldn't need to do anything with the tips or billable expense because we're not using those in roofing. And then when it comes to categories, you do want to turn on your track classes and your track locations. Our automation, we really don't use this. You can leave the pre-fill forms on, automatically apply credits. You do not want to keep that on. Automatically invoice and bill activities, no. Automatically bill payments, no. We don't want QuickBooks doing these things for us automatically. It'll cause a lot of errors in QuickBooks. And then you have your currency. If you do need multiple currency, that is available as well. But once you turn that on, then you cannot turn it off. But you have all these different currencies here that you could use. And then just your date format, that kind of thing. And the only one I'll mention here is sign me out of Enact for 1 hour. I always change that to 3 hours. So that is the part of your basic setup. If we come back to our list, these are the things that we went through. We did enable our account numbers. We changed the fiscal year. And then if you turned on the projects, then that is on, your classes is on. The one thing I didn't show you how to do is invite a bookkeeper. Go back to your main page, and if you ever get lost, just click your bank transactions and it'll reset to this page right here. And most of your work that you're doing in QuickBooks is on this page right here as a bookkeeper. Roofers, you're going to be using more of the customer features and invoicing than this screen. So let's hit our gear icon, and then we can go to manage users. And then manage users for accounting firms, then you'll give you 2 here. And for the users, you can invite right here. This test company isn't showing you that, but there's a little logo here. So you would just tap, you click just invite, put the person's name and email address in, and then they will receive an invite for it. So that is what that is. I want to make sure that I'm covering everything. But as you go through all of these, you can check off everything that you've done, print it out, or however you want to do it on your computer. So you've done all of these things. Now we're going to move on to the chart of accounts. These are some type of services that you would use in a roofing company. And these are the services that I use personally in roofing companies up to 10 million in sales. Okay. And we use a lot of residential roofing, what most roofers call retail roofing. For some roofers, we have under like basic roofing, and we have what we call an X Factor roofing, where we're given a special price. We will have premium roofing. So we track how many sales we have in each one of those categories. But just depending on your company, if I'm setting up your QuickBooks Online, I'm going to get with you and find out exactly, what you would like to see on your profit and loss. That's where these numbers show up at. So that's incredibly important. Okay. Now, our cost of goods, our general types in roofing for roofing companies are the roofing material, wood and lumber. I only put labor here. This is like a salesman. Maybe you're paying a 1099 to, or even a W-2. I map this out where it shows up here. Say you have a salesman, but he is an employee, then his wages are going to show up under labor employees. Okay. Then we have subcontractors, dump fees, permit, rental equipment. And I left some extra spots here where you can write out to setting up your company, other cost of goods for a job. And cost of goods are just direct costs that it will take you to purchase or pay to do that particular job. This is not overhead. This is direct cost to the job. One thing that we do include a lot with our roofers is like customer credit card fees that we're offering them to pay by credit card. And so we've got to cover the fees, or what we call dealer finance or with service finance. One additional thing that I do add. When you're looking at QuickBooks, go to your chart of accounts. If you go back to your main banking page, you can go to your chart of accounts. And then they don't have everything numbered the way that it should be here. I generally have roofing services or roofing construction. Then I'll have residential re-roofing under here. And then the different things, residential roof, basic, premium, all of those things I went over with you. So that's why it's extremely important to have this set up correctly. I'll show you a profit and loss would look like, why this is important. And especially if you are an owner of a roofing business, these are the things that you would be looking at in QuickBooks. You won't be looking at the things that the bookkeeper is doing. We can go to our this year to date from January through today when I'm recording this video for you. I would just want to go to a classic view. It's easier for you to read, where it has your income and then how much in revenue you have for each one of these, how much it is in labor, and you have total income, your total income amount, then your gross profit. And the way you can tell what your gross profit is, you can take by percentage, is take this $9,700, $97.95.77 divided by our 10,200.77. You would get the percentage of your gross profit. I have it like really organized for you. Theirs is all over the place here. And so that is the advantage of having it set up properly for you. So you can actually read it and not jump around trying to read things. But then you have all your expenses. This will be all the expenses, overhead in your company. And then it would have your net profit here. And that's your number there of operating income. Total net income would be $1,642.46. Now I'm going to go back to our checkoff list. So now we have expenses and advertising. It can be, I have a heading that is advertising as an expense, and then subheadings for Google, Facebook, Angie's List, promotional website, because we're tracking all of these things. It's particularly with Google, we've got to know every month how much we're spending on Google. So these are the things that I do one-on-one consulting with and deep dives in, going over your financials. I break it all down, then I get on the phone with you, and then I show you exactly where you are and what we need to do next to increase the profits. Okay, then we have auto expenses, bank charges, just different things that we have here. So you can add some more if your company has more of those. But when you fill out all of these, when you go to set up your QuickBooks in the setup process that we just went through, it will help you set up all of these accounts and delete accounts that you don't need. But your bookkeeper can do this for you. You as a roofing company owner, you don't need to be doing this. You just want to be looking at your profit and loss, basically, and your invoicing if you're doing your own invoicing. But you have your job costing, and we must have job costing for roofing companies. We can't operate without it. You have your projects, and your projects are basically your jobs. And when you turn on projects, then you can put in all expenses for your jobs by their customer name. And I will just jump into an invoice in just a minute and just give you an overview of that. You have your class tracking, which I use this if it's overhead, if it's income. Those are the things that I track there. Instant wins for sales and profits. Check your gross profit margin weekly or monthly. Compare your estimates versus your actual by project. Review profit and loss by class or job to see what is working. Now, your call to action, from the training today, and I hope you have enjoyed the training today, a way that you can implement it in your business. So take the guesswork out of the QuickBooks setup, follow the proven system used by 6- and 7-figure roofing companies, get organized, stay compliant, and start seeing real profits. Now, if you want help setting this up, if you want me to set this up for you, just book your free profit setup call, and we'll get on there and discuss where you are in your roofing company, how old your roofing company, if you're just starting out, or you're a 5-year-old company. And don't feel bad if you are a 10-year-old roofing company, but you've never really set up QuickBooks correctly or had QuickBooks, then it doesn't matter. I'll help you get it set up. I started working with a roofer that has a revenue of over 5 million. It doesn't matter the age of your roofing company. We can get it all straightened out for you. And if we need to do any cleanup work for you, like for past years, say for 2024 or 2023, we also do that cleanup work for you. So I'm trying to make this just as easy as possible for you. so that you can have a very profitable roofing company, because we really want your profit and loss to look good. The profit and loss is very important for the owner of the roofing company more than anything else. And I did promise to show you that invoice. I spent a lot of time over here with customers because I sync with AccuLinks, Job Nimbus. And so I'm reconciling between QuickBooks and those systems. But say, for instance, you were going to invoice John Melton. Actually, I'm going to open it up so you can see they have a couple things in here. But when you look at your customer in QuickBooks, you can just close this side here. But you can see any invoice, any payments, anything, all the activity that's been in this account to know what you need to do next. But say, for instance, we're going to invoice him. It would automatically pop in all of your information there. You can choose what product or service that you're using and the rate for the amount. And then you can preview and send this to him through email. Okay. And when you're set up to receive payments in QuickBooks, it's in the account settings, but this test company doesn't show that. Then you can set up those and you can automatically, it saves you a lot of money and time, and get paid online, and it goes directly into your bank account. My son just started a construction company, so he had a $30,000 job. So we instantly got over $15,000 from a customer just by doing it that way. It was easier for the customer, and so it was really convenient. If you're putting in, say, an expense, when you're filling out like all your information, say it's to ABC Supply, and then your category is going to be materials, that's where that would be. And QuickBooks does show you a list of accounts, so you can choose where it is that you're doing your deck and patio, but you can put here then the customer number. And then, like for this, Mike got John Melton, then it attaches him to the expense. And so we can pull up reports by customer and see exactly how much profit we have based on everything that we paid through the bank feed. Anybody has any questions, just let me know. Be sure that you have went to Roof for Profits to pick up the free QuickBooks setup checklist for roofing contractors. That's your first step there, and get that information, and then you can start taking a look at your QuickBooks. And if you need any help, please do reach out, and I can definitely get on a call with you, take a look at your QuickBooks too, and see exactly where you are in anything that needs to be done to help you be very successful in your roofing company. And if you are a bookkeeper and you're tuning in today, just know this is kind of the work that we do with roofing contractors, that we want to supply the best service that we possibly can to them, help them in their business, help them increase their profits. And so we want to take care of them very well. I'm very passionate about the roofing industry, and I know these guys work really hard, and it's hard work out there, and it's a lot of things you have to go through. So we can really support them and help them. Thank you for tuning in today, and I appreciate it. And then next Thursday, we will do another Q&A. I will see you next Thursday, 3 p.m. Bye-bye.